ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف خلائق الله أجمعين حبيب إله العالمين المصطفى الأمين بالقاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين مهدي هذه الأمة وخاتم الأئمة وطاووس أهل الجنة الحجة ابن الحسن العسكري روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدم الفداء. قال الله العظيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين، آمنا بالله، صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد.
The month of Rajab is upon us, a month that in the hereafter there will be a caller for the people who worshipped and fasted for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during the month of Rajab. And the caller will say, أين الرجبيون? And during this holy month of Rajab, which we are preparing to enter, there is many a'mal and many kind of special worship, special time for ourselves to rejuvenate our soul and scrape off the dust from our hearts. And this holy month we celebrate the birth of few ma'sumeens, and the beginning of the month we celebrate the birth of Imam Abu Ja'far Mohammad ibn Ali Al-Baqir alayhi wa ala abaihi afdal as-salati wa azka as-salam. In the famous hadith, when Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, the great companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, asked Rasulullah about who will be after Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam started counting. Imam Hussein was there, started to count the Imams after, until he reached to Imam Al-Baqir alayhi salam. Said, you will live until you meet my son Mohammad ibn Ali ibn al-Husayn alayhim as-salam. I was looking into this hadith today, and I found, of course, numerous sources, even from other school of thought in regards of this hadith. One of which that is in the Tarikh Dimashq, in the history of Damascus, by a famous author called Ibn Asakir, that he as well mentions this narration in his book. What it's interesting in the regard of this narration is, of course, this hadith has been told from other sources as well, and that this hadith as well been told that we usually, myself included, fail to mention that this hadith been told from Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi as well, from Imam Hussein salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, to Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi, that you will meet your son, your grandson Muhammad ibn Ali that his title that's been given to him, it's been given by Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Baqir in Arabic is as someone who split open. And he says that he split open the knowledge. So sometimes a lot of knowledge is undiscovered, like gold and minerals. You need to dig through the dirt to extract the gold from the stone and to sieve through it. So it has been dug out by Imam Al-Baqir alayhi salam. But the question here as well, that was the knowledge been covered? Yes, it was. Been covered by previous so-called khulafa, by their methods, by their lack of knowledge of the hadith, and by the animosity towards the Ahlul Bayt, the household of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and their followers. So from all sides there was a very kind of pressure and to keep the knowledge from the people, from Ahlul Bayt, from the Muslims. The Muslims didn't know much about, even if you notice that the scholars like from other school of thought, the Hanafi, Maliki, Hanafi, Shafi'i, Hanbali, they came way after. Like it was during that period of time. Like Abu Hanifa al-Nu'man existed. He lived during that time. So that was because of the pressure that's been put on the Muslims to keep the knowledge away from them. So going back to the hadith itself, in the hadith, of course, there is a miracle in itself, because Rasulullah, how would he know that Jabir will live until he meets his grandson, right? And there's another thing as well, that Rasulullah says in regard of Imam Al-Baqir, that's my son, right? You will meet my son, he said. So in this in itself, it was kind of a dispute between the Muslim even to this day, that why do you call this progeny of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam his lineage and his kids and his sons, to an extent that Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi alayhi la'inullah, this tyrant who killed people just by as an example, someone was next to his palace, and he was one of the unluckiest people. He was next to his palace, and Hajjaj was on his balcony. He overheard him saying, "La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah." He told the people to get him up, get him here. Why did you say this? He said, it's kind of dhikr. It's kind of dhikr that came to my mind, right? He said, no, this kind of dhikr is when you have a calamity. Do you think I'm a calamity over you people? He says, no. So, oh, you dare to, say differently? So maybe you have a really big heart. Cut him open and give me his heart, to see what kind of heart you hold, so you can refute what I'm saying or reply to me in that kind of manners. And they, of course, killed him and took the heart of that person out. And Hajjaj saw his heart. No, his heart is normal. Give him back his heart. So Hajjaj once told someone that this guy was called Yahya ibn Abi Amr. He said to Yahya ibn Abi Amr, why do you call the lineage, the sons of Ali ibn Abi Talib, the lineage of Rasulullah? They are sons of Ali ibn Abi Talib. They're Alawis. They're not the sons of Rasulullah. Why? Because they are the sons of their daughters. And Abbasis are more closer to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, not Abbasis, and other people, because they were, I guess, Abbasis actually. they can be more closer to Rasulullah than the sons of his daughter. Why? Because of the mentality that Arab that day had held, that people who are born through the daughters, it's not gonna be their sons anymore. It's gonna be the sons of their fathers and their tribe. So they're not gonna be related to them. And he said, don't you ever dare to mention me the verse in regards of mubahala, abna'ana wa abna'akum. And in that verse, Rasulullah clearly mentions that Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein are his kids, are his sons. So he said, is there any other ayah? If you don't bring me any other ayah, even though one ayah should have sufficed, one verse should have sufficed, that clearly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states from the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, let's bring our sons and your sons. So he said yes. He memorized Quran and he knew this verse, of course, from Surah Al-An'am, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَتِلْكَ حُجَّتُنَا آتَيْنَاهَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ عَلَى قَوْمِهِ نَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتٍ مَنْ نَشَاءُ إِنَّ رَبَّكَ حَكِيمٌ عَلِيمٌ وَوَهَبْنَا لَهُ إِسْحَاقَ وَيَعْقُوبَ كُلًّا هَدَيْنَا وَنُوحًا وَهَدَيْنَا مِنْ قَبْلُ وَمِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِهِ داود وسليمان وأيوب ويوسف وموسى وهارون وكذلك نجزي المحسنين وزكريا ويحيى وعيسى. He said that from the lineage of Ibrahim, there was from the lineage of Ibrahim alayhi wa ala nabina alihi wa afdal salatu wa azka salam, that is Yusuf, Musa, Harun, and Zakaria, Yahya, and Isa. How Isa been put in that category, even though Isa was through his mother, he didn't have a father. So as he promised, he didn't kill him and beheaded him. So this is a second thing we can derive and benefit from that hadith of Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari. Another thing is, it's a miracle that Rasulullah knew this in itself, that he foretold that he will be still living and he will meet him. From this, we can derive numerous things. One is when Rasulullah, he foretold a lot of things. For example, he said to Ammar, Ya Ammar, ستقتلك الفئة الباغية وآخر طعام لك من الدنيا, that the aggressor will kill you, and the last thing that you will drink from this world is a little bit of milk that it's been mixed with water. So in the war of Siffin between Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, when Ammar saw all the signs, he told Amir al-Mu'mineen, is that it? Amir al-Mu'mineen told him, I said this a few times now, that go back to your position. And he started keep on repeating, is that it? Like, is it the day that I will be martyred? You know, we look at it from this perspective, but Rasulullah as well telling the right and the right from the wrong. If you are with Ali ibn Abi Talib, the other side are aggressors. The other side is what? Is the people who are tyrants. And Rasulullah clearly is putting a division between those two groups. That if you're with Ali ibn Abi Talib, not some people come and say that, it's that was history and it was kind of fitna and they went to war and it was over and we cannot discuss that. No. And you know what Muawiyah did at that day? When Ammar was killed, everyone stopped and everyone knew about this hadith. And he said, قَتَلَهُ الَّذِي أَخْرَجَهُ. A person who brought him, it was the one who killed him. So they say from the same logic, then astaghfirullah, that they said that Hamza was killed by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, because Hamza was brought to the war by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So with that, Rasulullah is telling us not just that he is his son, not just that you should follow these people, and not just that these are the scholars that he titled him and he gave him the title of Baqir al-Ulum. Salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi.
صل على محمد.
Imam Salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, he had this chance to make this revolution. And Imam did revolt and made a revolution against ignorance and against jahl. When there was the struggle over the power between Bani Umayyah and Bani Al-Abbas, of course, for about 2 years and few months, maybe 2 months, Sulaiman ibn Abdul Malik, he made it his will to calm things down, because there was a lot of revolts. A lot of people were unsatisfied from Abdul Malik bin Marwan. You know, all these people were the sons of Marwan, the sons of Abdul Malik. Then he said that instead of his brother, his cousin would come and rule. And their cousin was no other than Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. The rest were Abdul Malik. This one was the uncle, so he was the cousin of Sulaiman ibn Abdul Malik. So he came and he didn't treat the Shia in general as the same way they've been treated over the years. So he went and started giving more respect to the Imams. And the Imam, you know, a lot of people sees that opportunity to gain some personal gains, right? Maybe some positions with the government, maybe some money, or they acquire some piece of land. But Imam Salawatullahi Salam alayhi started spreading the knowledge of Ahl Bayt Salawatullahi Salam alayhi. Imagine, you know, you cannot compare the amount of narration and hadith that reached us from Imam Al-Baqir and Imam Al-Sadiq to any other Imam. You know, just one person like Mohammad ibn Muslim, he narrated 30,000 hadith from Imam Al-Baqir alayhi salam. 30,000 hadith. You know, Imam Al-Baqir alayhi salam, duration of Imam was 19 years. He was born on the 57th of the Hijrah and lived for 57 years. And 19 years he had to spread the knowledge of Ahl Bayt alayhim salam. So from that 19 years, there was those 2 years that made a lot of difference. And to bring someone like Muhammad ibn Muslim and Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi, not Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari as well, he started going to the Imam and start learning from the Imam. And people would come to Jabir and say that, did you teach him something? He said, no, he is teaching me, because he was really old. And he was a companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and one of the last companions to be still alive. And people held a huge amount of respect to Jabir ibn Abdullah. But what he was saying, no, I am learning from him. It's the other way around. So Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi, 70,000 hadith. And combine like just those two, 100,000 hadith. 100,000 hadith. That alone should be enough for generations to come. And of course, not just that, raising students. They say 6 of the most knowledgeable people in the Shia history was in the time of Imam Al-Baqir and Imam Al-Sadiq salawatullahi wa salam alayhim ajma'in. And around like more than 450 students, Imam Al-Baqir and Imam Al-Sadiq, they start raising and to spread the knowledge. You know, brothers and sisters, one of the things that we take lightly is knowledge in regards of not just knowledge of like the life of Ahl Bayt and the history and the calamity they received and the problem they faced. No, not just that. But the knowledge, the lack of knowledge of their hadith and their narration. That is more important. And they emphasized a lot in that regard, to the amount that the hadith in regards of the knowledge and the people with knowledge is staggering from Imam Al-Baqir and encouraging people to seek knowledge. You know, when we see some people that calling themselves, at least they are lovers and the followers of Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wasalam alayhim ajma'in. It's very heartbreaking to, when you bring one of them or anyone, it's usually like with all the Muslim community, it's becoming kind of a tradition as well. You know, for us it's just 2 days throughout the whole entire year to listen about Imam Salamullah alayh live, and we'll go to the next year and that's it. Maybe we'll learn one hadith or other. No, there's a lot of books been written, a lot of articles, a lot of like thousands of hours of speeches been given. So we can like go and dig in a little bit to benefit ourselves. Imam Al-Baqir salamullah alayhi, he says, عَالِمٌ يُنْتَفَعُ بِعِلْمِهِ أَفْضَلَ مِنْ 70,000 عَابِدٍ. Comparison Imam is making between a knowledgeable person, alim, and a person who doesn't have that knowledge. He says a person with knowledge, right, is better than 70,000 worshippers without knowledge. He says just you sleep while you sleep with knowledge is better than someone who is staying awake all night and praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he says in a hadith that تَذَاكُرُ الْعِلْمِ سَاعَةً خَيْرٌ مِّن قِيَامِ اللَّيْلِ. If you sit and you start like bringing this hadith and start, you know, there's some hadith that truly, if you tell other people that non-Muslim, right, he will grab it and use it in a second. He says, well, that's something really like a word of wisdom that I can use in my daily life, for this life. Even if a person is an atheist, agnostic, whatever, when he sees the knowledge of Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wasalam alayhi, he cannot but stand in respect and take his hat off for this knowledge of Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wasalam alayhim ajma'in. And Imam Al-Baqir says that you're sitting for 1 hour and learning is better than you stay up all night praying. You know, even in regards of this life as well, like they say what? Don't work harder, work smarter. Like a lot of people who are wealthy, it's not because they worked harder, it's because they worked smarter to utilize their time, to know how to use their time and effort to gain more. And that's how ilm is. You know, one of the angels asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in regard of, he saw one of the Israelites is in an island and praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said that this guy is like praying 24/7. He's fasting during the day, up all night praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What kind of position he holds with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I want to see his palace and place in paradise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him that this is a place of this person in paradise. He said, what? This is not much for what he's doing. You're not giving him much. He said, go down and start worship with him in a form of human, and you will know the reason behind it. So he did that and asked him permission to pray with this person, and he gave him permission. And after a while, they were sitting and looking at the grass in that island. He said, you know, he starts making a really loud sigh. He said, what's going on? The angel asked. He said, you know, all this grass is going to waste. He said, okay, what do you want? He said, I wish that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had a donkey to use this grass and those grass not go to waste? He said, because of that. He worships, but he doesn't have knowledge. He doesn't have ma'rifah. He doesn't know actually who's praying to. Right? So it depends, your level in heaven as well. It depends on your knowledge. Not on the amount of worship that you do. Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, نوم مع علم خير من صلاة مع جهل على جهل. That while you sleep with knowledge is better than praying and while you're ignorance. And this hadith is really truly amazed me in this regard, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, ساعة من عالم يتكي على فراشه ينظر في عمله خير من عبادة العابد 70 عاما. Like a knowledge person with knowledge, who is knowledgeable person, true scholar, who lay down or give his back to the wall and sit for an hour looking at his knowledge, is better than worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for 70 years. 70 years. You worship, so this 1 hour is better. And of course, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, عالم أفضل من 1000 عابد و1000 زاهد. One scholar and one knowledgeable person is better than what? 1,000 worshipper. Imagine that. So they encouraged, with that kind of encouragement, the people to seek knowledge. The people to go after knowledge. You know, and we all know in regard of Imam Al-Baqir and Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, it wasn't just in regard of the hereafter. No. Like, as a perfect example, that Jabir ibn Hayyan, the father of what? Chemistry, is one of the students of Imam Sadiq salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. That's a well-known fact. So imagine our life without chemistry now. So the actual people start spreading the knowledge, and people, if you go back to even history, and you see how the Arab start spreading their knowledge and how they start truly develop, is in the times of Imam salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi ajma'in. That's how they start advancing in everything. Not just in regards of their worship, no, in regards of this dunya as well. Islam, it's not a religion just for the hereafter. You gain the hereafter starting from this life, of course. Starting from this dunya. And Imam salawatullahi wa salam alayhi emphasized on ilm. I was looking into the, of course, the titles of Imam salawatullahi wa salam alayhi, and I stumbled upon one of the famous titles for Imam Al-Baqir alayhi salam. We know that they held many titles. Of course, his kunya was Abu Ja'far, and his title Al-Baqir, but he held many other titles. One of the titles was Al-Hadi. So we are celebrating today as well the birth of Imam Aba Al-Hasan Al-Akhir, Aba Hasan Al-Thalith, Al-Imam Ali ibn Mohammad Al-Naqi Al-Hadi alayhi alafu al-tahiyyati wa azka as-salam. Hadi in itself means that people who guide. You know, when we go to Hajj, for the first time especially, right, we need someone to guide us. There was one scholar, he was a scholar, right? And he, when he head out to Hajj and he was there, he asked his caravan and the people with him, "Where's my mutawwif?" They said, "But you're a scholar." He said, No. You know, in theory I know things, but in practice I need someone to guide me now. You know, a person to show me, okay, this is, for example, Arafat. We're now in Arafat. This is now Jabal al-Rahma. This is now Safa. This is now Marwa. Of course, that's common. We all know. But there's few things that people need someone to guide them, right? When you buy a gadget, when you buy a piece of electronic, when you buy something new, you need a guide to actually know how it works. So Imam salawatullah wasalam alayhim ajma'in, one of their objective is to guide people. One of their things that it was their duty to guide people to the right path and to keep people from going astray. And Imam Al-Baqir alayhi salam and Imam Al-Hadi, Ali ibn Mohammad, they had the same role, but in a different era. And really, my heart aches for Imam Al-Hadi salawatullahi wasalamu alayhi. Because, I mean, imagine, of course, you losing your father when you're 8. Right? Imam Al-Jawad is the youngest Imam that was martyred, 24 years of age. And he was very young when he became an Imam. And Imam Al-Hadi as well, he was 8 years of age when he became Imam. So, imagine, you having that kind of people who are against you, and that kind of environment, and you are an orphan, right? And you need to lead a nation, and for the people to listen to you. One of the miraculous things in regard of the Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam, there was a little bit of dispute, a lot of feud in regards of Imam Al-Jawad alayhi salam. How can someone at his age, at this young age, lead and have this much knowledge? So people start testing him, but not with Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam, because people already went through that and they didn't need to repeat it. But again, so what Mutawakkil Abbasi alayhi la'na, one of the scholars said something that if Mutawakkil Abbasi was at the time of Yazid ibn Muawiyah, he would have done the same thing as Yazid, if not more, to Imam Hussein salawatullahi wa salam alayhi. Mutawakkil Abbasi was, what made things even worse, that he was Abbasi. He was the descendant of Abbas, the uncle of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So he was supposed to be the cousins of Ahl Bayt salawatullahi wa sallam alayhi. But I mean, Abu Lahab was as well the uncle of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So it doesn't matter. So Mutawakkil, he did everything. He did everything to prevent Imam Al-Hadi to meet others, to meet his Shia and his followers. So he imprisoned Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam for more than 20 years. Imam Al-Hadi, for the rest of his life, he was around 20 years of age when he went to Samarra with his son Imam Al-Hasan alayhi salam, and he lived there until he was martyred and buried in Surra Marra in Samarra. So imagine to be in prison for 20 years. So the way that you need to reach out to the people, to connect to the others. Imam Al-Baqir alayhi salam had that kind of 2 years of relative freedom to spread the knowledge of Ahl Bayt. Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam, he had around 6 months, or exactly 6 months. 6 months, a little bit of freedom, because Muntasir was the son of Mutawakkil Abbasi. Muntasir Abbasi, he had love towards Ahl Bayt salawatullah salam alayhim ajma'in, including Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam. And it wasn't for nothing. I mean, imagine, start loving a person who you in prison. And there's this beautiful narration in regards of Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam. He resulted a lot of times to miracles, a lot of times, right? And especially with the people who are against him and people who are non-followers. One of which was a person who lived in Isfahan in Iran, And they asked him, he was a follower of Ahl Bayt. They asked him, his name was Abdul Rahman. They asked him, Abdul Rahman, why you love Ahl Bayt and you are a Shia and you are a Rafidi? Isfahan was known to be one of the centers of Nawasib. I mean, to an extent that they asked for extension from Umar ibn Abdul Aziz in regards of banned on cursing Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. So the people of Isfahan, for someone to be Shia and that missed, it was hard and difficult, of course. And so they asked him that, Abdul Rahman, why you are a Shia? He said, once the people, because I am eloquent and I have some courage, so they sent me to go and meet Mutawakkil, Abbasi alayhi la'anallah. So I went to meet Mutawakkil Abbasi and to ask him a few things for my people that I was representing. So he said, I went there, and while we were waiting to enter the palace of Mutawakkil Abbasi, I was standing there. All of a sudden I saw someone on a horse coming out of the palace, and the people split open on both sides like the sea was split open for Musa alayhi salam. And I saw a person with a beautiful face, with a face full of light, on that horse, mounting that horse and going to his place, and not looking left nor he looking to the right. And I asked someone who was near to me, I told him that, who is this person? Like, his love entered my heart. When I saw him, his love entered my heart. Like, who is he? He said, that is Ibn Rida, Ali ibn Mohammad Al-Hadi, the Imam of the Rafida, the Imam of the Shia. He said that I start doing dua, that I hope Mutawakkil, because they all knew that this guy is notorious against Ahlul Bayt, that he's a tyrant. That I start worship. I said, telling, oh Allah, protect him from Mutawakkil, protect him from Mutawakkil, protect him from Mutawakkil. So the Imam, when he reached next to me, he bowed down and told in my ear that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He answered you, and for that, for the dua that you did for me, I will give you four things that you will be having, and four of your wishes will be granted. First, wealth. Second, sons. Third, that your life will be extended. And the fourth, I think, it was that nothing will come from Mutawakkil to you. So for one dua that he made for Imam, he got 4 dua in return, because they are generous, of course. So he said, when I came back, now that I'm talking to you, he said to the people that they asked him regarding why you are a Shia. He said, now I have 1,000 means million, 1,000,000 dirham, silver coin, just in my deposit, just in my house, right? And I have 10 boys. And my life been extended, and I'm more than 70 and something years. So all of the du'as from Imam been granted. Why don't I follow the Imam that his du'a from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been granted? So the Imam Salamullah alayhi had this very difficult time to keep the people from going astray, because he's been cut off. So he made this web of representatives, and like every chance he gets, they will. If one of them die, it will be replaced, or they will be connected when Imam Salawatullah Salam alayhi had a chance. So Muntasir was one of people who loved the Imam Salawatullah Salam alayhi. So he was one of the people who conspired against his own father, because his father started cursing Ali ibn Abi Talib in public, and start mocking Ali ibn Abi Talib and Fatima al-Zahra salawatullahi wasalam alayhi in public. That beside he is drinking in public, beside killing people, but he couldn't even, he went to the Imam and said, I can't handle that anymore. Muntasar, I cannot but kill my father. Imam said, if you do, your life expectancy will be shortened. He's your father at the end of the day. Doesn't matter. He said, even if I live for one day, I cannot wait to get rid of this tyrant. And he conspired against his father with the Turks, and they killed him while he was drinking, and his flesh and blood was mixed with wine. Wal-'ayadhu billah. Imam Al-Hadi salawatullahi wasalam alayhi, it's good to enlighten our heart with the words of Imam Al-Hadi salawatullahi wasalam alayhi, that we have in the hadith from the ziyarah, kalamukum nur, that your words are lights. Imam Al-Hadi salawatullahi wasalam alayhi says, man ata'a al-khaliq lam yubali bi sakhat al-makhluqin. Surely if I talk about myself here, if I just took this hadith of Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam and apply it to my life, that I should not care about the creation if the creator is satisfied with me. I need to seek my creator satisfactory with me, to be satisfied with me, than to seek the satisfaction of the people who will demise in 1 or 2 days. So, with this, since it's the time of the salat, I conclude my today's talk with the salawat of Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Ali ibn Muhammadin wasiy al-awsiya wa imam al-atqiya wa khalaf a'immat ad-din wal hujjati ala al-khalaiq ajma'in. Allahumma كما جعلته نورا يستضيء به المؤمنون، فبشر بالجزيل من ثوابك وأنذر بالأليم من عقابك، وحذر بأسك وذكر بآياتك، وحل حلالك وحرم حرامك، وبين شرائعك وفرائضك، وحض على عبادتك، وأمر بالطاعتك ونهى عن معصيتك، فصل عليه أفضل ما صليت على أحد من أوليائك وذرية أنبيائك يا إله العالمين. وصل الله